Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are planting 501 trees, I think I ordered, around the campground in the buffer, the 75-foot buffer, to help give the campers and the neighbors some privacy from the campground. So we're gonna cover how we're doing it and what's involved, and we're gonna get after it right now. If you're new to this channel, my name is Michael Patterson. My family and I are trying to build a campground on about 113 acres we purchased here in Sanford, Maine. So if you'd like to learn everything we're going through to try to get the campground approved and what's involved with building it, subscribe, click the bell so that you'll be the first to know when I post another video. Hey! Okay, time to plant some trees. The first method I started out with for digging the hole was with using this auger that my wife uses for flowers, and it really wasn't, the auger was fine. I didn't actually end up breaking it after about 160 trees, but it was also really hard on my drill, so decided to move to a shovel method. And of course, after we dig the hole, it's real important that you get that long root down towards the bottom, and you can see my daughter's actually folding it. So it was another good reason that we moved to the shovel method of breaking up a bigger area of the soil and then packing it in. And then of course, after my daughter will plant the tree, that's Lauren on the right in the blonde hair, and Margaret in the brunette would get a ribbon going. We put a ribbon on them because I want to be able to find them in the future, so that if we have a dry spell, I can come along with my watering tank, which I'll show you shortly, and I can water these trees to make sure, after I spent all this money and time, I want to make sure they stay healthy. We're doing some watering this evening, and you can see we've tagged them so that they're easy to find. And this is the setup that we have. My daughter Lauren's driving the mule. We got an IBC container full of water, well, half full, otherwise it'll break my trailer. And we're just going along. I hooked it up to the battery so that the pump will have power, and we're just going along and water them. They told me I wouldn't have to water them, but I can't imagine. They're looking pretty dry. And so this is the setup that we have. She just drives along with me as I go, and I water the trees. Oops, there we go. I'm trying to do too many things at once here. Give you an idea of how we're going to help ensure that these things survive. All these trees were harvested just a few days ago from a farm out west, and I ordered them back in, must have been December. And they told me it was a good thing I ordered them when I did, because they weren't taking any more orders. So yeah, so I'm not exactly following a straight line. It's not really important to me, because I'm going to add different varieties of trees in here. Because before I bought this land, many of the neighbors actually cleared on our property, or the prior owner that owned it. And you can see they thinned out the woods quite a bit. And so my wife and I put in a fence, and for privacy for them and for us. And so what we're trying to do is allow things to grow back, obviously, and you can see that's definitely happening. And add some more trees and fill it in. We want to do some different varieties. That way when people are going for a walk, we can put little signs on the trees to let people know the type of tree that it is. And yeah, just kind of make the walk more interesting. I don't want anybody to panic about the trees we're mowing over here with the side-by-side. We're just pushing them over and they pop back up. They're birches and scrub oaks. They're not going to get very big anyway, and no harm done in creating this video. So these trees that we're planting are balsam firs, basically also known as Christmas trees. I thought it'd be nice. We do have balsam firs on the property, but I thought another 500 would be good, and then in the future I'm looking at maybe some redwood trees and some other arborvitaes, things like that, to really mix up, mostly evergreen, so that give privacy in the winter as well. But I don't want to pass up like fruit trees and other things like that I think will add value to the experience of staying at the campground. I don't want to imply that I'm going to start farming, because I'm definitely not interested in that. And there's plenty of local farms like McDougall's, Levine's, Rivard's. I've made videos on all of these different farms that are right here in Sanford for the campers to go and check out if they want to do a fun activity, because I certainly want to encourage the campers to see what Sanford has to offer for outdoor recreation. So we've planted, I don't know, maybe 100 so far. It's going pretty well. And of course, having my daughters help me is really great, for them to come visit me and spend the night. And I'm just so psyched, my wife and I, to hang out with them. Oh, and big news, my wife got some puppies. I'm really excited about these little guys, Lucy and Ricky. Lucy and Ricky. So try to guess what who she named those dogs after, and leave a comment down below. So I want to point out some things about the new ordinance that was passed, because remember, the neighbors got the town officials upset enough where they passed a retroactive moratorium to stop me from, my campground plans. And I want to point something out to you guys, that right now the property line is actually on the left side of the road, so we own this road. And a lot of the neighbors that are complaining about privacy, they want their privacy, but they've pretty much clear cut, everything right to the road. I'm not really sure why they did that, and maybe it was the prior owner, but they haven't made any effort to plant on, this side of the road. And I would think they would have, if they really valued privacy the way they had, explained in the town meetings. And so, like, another example is this one right here, where, basically there's no privacy from the road, and I'm going to be driving down this. I do drive down this every day. And the new ordinance went from 15-foot setback from the property line to 75-foot with a 50-foot vegetated buffer. And you can see on the right-hand side of the road, I really didn't have to do anything, because I have 50 to 75 feet of buffer already. So I planted additional trees in many of the areas just to, give the neighbors a little bit more privacy. But I would think that if they were concerned about privacy as well, that they would have added more trees. Now here on the left, I actually own this piece of property that goes right down to the water. But let's take a look here at the end of the road. Now what I want to point out here is that, this neighbor, said in particular that he really didn't want, the campground so close to him. And the ordinance has been passed. The buffer's increased from 15 to 75 feet, 50-foot vegetated. And, he hasn't done anything to plant trees to give him, some more privacy from his cottage. And here I am, I don't have to do anything either. But, even in this case, you can see that there's a ribbon right there. I've planted some trees, another one right here, in order to contribute to the privacy. So, we're about to submit plans again to the town of Sanford, city of Sanford, excuse me. And I'm sure these neighbors will come back out talking about their precious privacy, which, I agree. Although I have lived on the pond for over 20 years. And something else that kind of bothers me is that on the water side, where these neighbors have really done the most damage to the pond. Let me show you some pictures of that. Okay, I just want to stop the footage right there from the drone and just show you that we're looking at the shoreline of the north, sort of west side of the pond, okay? And look at all the clear cutting that these neighbors have done that are complaining about the damage we're going to do to the environment. Specifically, let's zoom in on this one right here. Now notice everything that's been taken down by them or the prior owner. There's no more duff on the ground to protect, erosion, or the trees have been all taken down. And not only that, the septic system is way too close to the water probably, and they have, needed to get a variance maybe, or will need a variance in order to replace it. And those are the two big things that the Maine Department of Environmental Protection is saying are causing the most damage to Maine's lakes and rivers, is exactly this kind of behavior by my neighbors. All right, let's take another example here. Over here on the right, you'll see there's the president of the Sand Pond Association that developed when they found out that our land would be developed as a campground. They formed to protect the pond. Later, he had admitted that I recorded and put in some of the videos that it actually formed to stop the campground, not to protect the pond. But here's his frontage. And you can see there's very little duff to protect the pond, no place for the insects, the squirrels, the birds to hang out, the deer to come down and enjoy the pond. He's just destroyed it all. And I don't know about his septic system. And right to Brian's right there is another neighbor who's opposing the campground. You can see my white fence there traveling on the right. This neighbor has clear cut everything. Within 15 or so feet of the pond. Very bad for the environment. There's no birds, obviously, hanging out there, insects, deer coming down to the water because, they've destroyed everything. And these people don't fish in front of their properties as much as they do in front of my property, because let's take a look to the right of this neighbor, which is my property. And this is one of 3 areas where we touch the pond. You can see it's all very vegetated, and it will stay that way even for 100 feet back from the water's edge. And that way we'll have deer down there, lots of insects, birds, squirrels, all of that stuff. And it's great for fishing too, because that's where the fish like to hang out. Now, one of the things I am considering is public beach access right along here next to my neighbor. Please put a comment down below if you think that's a good idea. We're thinking about doing that for the entire public. I'm not going to show you all of the properties on the pond that have done damage over the years, but I think I really want to point out a few, because these people have been very vocal at saying that we're going to destroy the pond, cause light pollution, and all the things that they are actually doing themselves. And I'll spare you all of the photos, but I just wanted to give you a few more examples as I zoom around the pond with my drone. And I get it, the clear cutting these folks have done, or the prior owners have done, is grandfathered, so they can leave it like that. But they claim to be advocates of protecting the pond. And really, what's the big deal if they plant some trees and try to protect the pond? And these people are opposing me and making up all these stories about how I'm going to destroy the ecology of the pond and just all of these awful things in these town meetings, and people listen to them. So that's why I went to YouTube and just started showing, not only what they're doing to the pond, and when I come up in a moment, I'll show you my frontage so you can see that I actually haven't done anything to destroy my waterfront over the last 20 years. And as I stated earlier, my wife and I are willing to pay not only provide the trees, the labor, and the bark mulch to put down on the water side of these cottages to reestablish the natural beauty that my opposing neighbor's talking about the pond, in order to protect it for generations to come, because their septic systems and the leaching from them destroying the environment right on the pond is really not good for the future of the ecology of the area. And none of the neighbors have taken us up on this to come on their property and reestablish the natural beauty, despite them claiming they're worried about the future of the pond. So this is another one of my parcels that touches the water, and you can see completely natural. And that's the way we're going to keep it, completely vegetated, untouched, 100 feet back from the water. And, again, I'm not showing you all the examples. It's just not necessary. You can see it's a very small pond, about 30 acres. And what I'll do is I'll just come up here and show you the other parcels that I own, that my wife and I own, that are going to stay, vegetated and help protect the natural beauty of the pond. I think we've been obviously doing that for over the last 20 years. All right, I'm just going to take the drone down a little bit closer to the ground here to give you an example of that third parcel that we own that touches the water right there. And you can see, 100 feet back, it's going to stay just like that for generations to come, and protect the water, the ecology, allow good fishing, allow the deer to get down there. And that just doesn't happen on any of the surrounding properties because most of them have clear cut right to the water. And now we're coming up on our personal residence, and you can see we've got about 200 feet of frontage. Over 20 years it's stayed like this. We've never done any clear cutting down there, left it naturally vegetated. Lots of plants, animals, insects in there. We really like it that way. And we think the rest of the pond should be returned to this condition. We're willing to pay for it, provide the labor, the trees, all of the bark mulch in order to get it there, and none of the neighbors who are opposing us are taking us up on it. It's really pretty shameful. And, some of the neighbors continue even today to cut down trees close to the water so they can get a better view of the water. And really having a shore frontage like this provides you with privacy, makes the pond more beautiful when you're kayaking and swimming in the pond, and it's better for the environment. So we're hoping that eventually some of the neighbors will change their mind and take us up on it, because the frontage that we own together with the other campground that's across the pond are the only ones that are taking steps to protect the pond for future generations in Sanford. At this point, my daughters and I have finished planting over 500 trees. Actually, I recruited my nephew to come over and help us as well. So we've got all 500 trees planted. We're going to plant some more, even though we don't have to, and certainly willing to plant them on our neighbor's property if they want us to. So if you'd like to learn more about the process we're going through to get the campground approved, and in the coming months, we will be resubmitting to the town to start building the campground. Obviously, we're going to have to take down some trees, which is why we're also planting hopefully many more trees than we're going to take down to build the campground. And I really appreciate tremendously all of the support you guys have given us over the last few years as we go through this process. And hopefully very soon we'll start putting a shovel in and putting in utilities so that we can open maybe sometime in 2026. We'll see. Thanks for watching, guys.